Hello and welcome to The Dock, and my name's Aisling Clark, and I'm delighted to be joined by Siobhan O'Donnell, Mick Mulvey, Shane Meehan and Catherine McHugh. So today we're going to have another episode in our series of Carry the Tunes, which is essentially about how the music has been passed down from generation to generation and shared in the community, how it relates to its place and geography, and how it is immersed in our culture. So I'm going to hand you over to the lads for a couple of tunes.
Thanks very much, everyone, and thanks for everybody listening in or watching this. Those were two reels that I played very often in sessions, really, that came from recordings of the old 78s era in New York in the 1920s and 30s, and a lot of the tunes that we'd play in this segment would be tunes from that era. I would have heard those tunes growing up myself in London as well in the 70s, thanks to companies like Shanachie that re-released a lot of these, a lot of the old 78s music. The first tune is called The Bloom of Youth, and it was recorded, was made famous by two of the musicians from that era, I suppose. The great Leitrim flute player, John McKenna, who would have a very strong connection with this era. But that particular version of it was probably closer to the recording of a Sligo fiddle master, Paddy Killoran, who would have recorded those in the 1930s. And he put it with the second tune, which is a tune called the Heathery Breeze, which I think is... I had an idea it was from Clare, but I'm not sure that tune, but it's...
Well, definitely associated with Sligo, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was Paddy Killoran,
Yeah. So... quite a lot of the music that we would play, even though Shane grew up in Carrick and I grew up in London, and but Siobhan's spent time in London, I think. So a lot of the music, the theme of this program is the kind of, the carrying of music to other places and the bringing of it back, and that'll come out quite a lot in a lot of the tunes that we play.
And a bit of cross-contamination.
Yeah, there's a fair bit of that going on, all right, yeah. Very apt for the situation that we're in at the moment. But So we're going to continue with a couple of jigs, also from the same kind of stable. These two tunes, I think, were both recorded by the legendary Michael Coleman, who obviously anyone who is involved in traditional Irish music or even at a very superficial level would have heard of Coleman. He's probably the best known musician of all time, I'd say, in the genre. The first tune, I think, comes from a recording that never got released of Coleman, that was discovered in the late 1990s, I think, in New York. And it's a jig called The Pathway to the Well. And the second tune then, I think he did record in kind of commercial recordings, which was Up Sligo, is it?
Yeah, he called the medley Up Sligo, but he didn't specify which one was Up Sligo. We'll take it that is this jig anyway.
So we'll give these a crack and see how we get on. Finish was a bit wobbly there, but we're used to that kind of thing. It's great to for the four of us to play together again. We have played a fair bit in the past. Kate McHugh and I played in a infamous Ceilidh Band series a few years ago, which we'll say no more about. And Siobhan, I'm going to hand over to Siobhán O'Donnell now from Sligo, who's going to give us a song, and she'll do all the instructions.
Surely. Yeah, it's great to be playing here free, and I suppose I met you, Mick, from going to the Joe Mooney summer school here very close by in Drumshambo every summer.
That's right, yeah.
Through sessions.
Yeah.
And I remember competing against Shane and him making a show of me.
Nothing about.
So like we compete, I'm from Sligo, we compete in the county flas, and then you get to the Connacht and you'd know Shane Meehan would have had all his tunes off and the variations, and I'd be scared of him. And Kate, I'd say then we met again through maybe the Ceilidh Band kind of scene sessions. We used to actually, both of us used to live in Dublin at the same time, and we used to play a bit of music there, like on the Dublin scene and for gigs and tourists and things like that. So we would have met through that scene as well. So it just shows like music can bring you to lots of different places. You could end up anywhere.
And we often did.
Now, sure, I'll sing a song for you. I'm going to try a song that I know well, because I suppose having been kind of out of action for such a long time, it's hard to, remember the songs that you did used to sing. So this is an old favourite of mine that I was kind of sick of singing it for a while, haven't sung it so much, but now I'm kind of falling back in love with it again. So this is a song called Still I Love Him, also known as Do You Love an Apple? And this song, I suppose I would have heard Trina and Maria O'Donnell in the Batty band recorded this song, didn't they? So like a lot of the songs that I would sing come from that era, and this is one of my favourites. And Still I Love Him. There's lots of different versions. I know Eleanor Shanley recorded a version of the song as well. Do you love an apple? Do you love a pear? So I think I'm singing Eleanor's version. There's lots of different words changed throughout the years. Now, we'll give it a go. I know, lads, sure you can join in if you want. Do you love an apple? Do you love a pear? Do you love a laddie with curly brown hair? But still, I love him, I can't deny him. I will go with him wherever he goes. He came up through an alley and he whistled me out. The tail of his shirt from his trousers hung out. But still, I love him, I can't deny him, and I will go with him wherever he goes. He borrowed some money to buy me a ring, but he and the jeweler, they went off on a fling. But still, I love him, I can't deny him, and I will go with him wherever he goes. Bought me a handkerchief, red, white and blue, but before I could wear it, she tore it in two. But still, I love him, I can't deny him, I will go with him wherever he goes. There's bread in the oven and there's cheese on the shelf. If you want any more, you can sing it yourself. But still, I love him, I can't deny him, and I will go with him wherever he goes. Do you love an apple? Do you love a pear? Do you love a laddie with curly brown hair? But still, I love him, I can't deny him, and I will go with him wherever he goes. Thank you very much.
That was brilliant.
Very good.
Thanks, Kate.
Brilliant. Fantastic improvisation
Yes. I didn't give you much notice on that one now, in fairness.
there. That's fantastic stuff. I was just thinking while you were singing that, the first time I ever heard that, I was about 14, and it was the Bothy Band live in London.
Oh, really?
In the National, in Kilburn.
Oh, wow, that would have been
And
amazing.
it was mind-blowing stuff, like, you know.
They were something
And she
else.
sang all the rude verses as
Oh,
well.
did she?
Yeah, I mean, the Bothy were in full flight then, and it was, they were stunning, you know. So we're going to try another set of jigs now. I think these, again, come from the Sligo stable, associated with the Coleman family again. The first one Well, Shane and I kind of have an ongoing dispute about the first one as to whether it is. I think it's a kind of a version of the Galway Rambler. Shane's not convinced by that, and I can't say I blame him really. It's one of Michael Coleman's recordings off that 1944 previously unreleased set of recordings of his. And the second tune, I think the first time I ever heard it, was in London, in a pub called The Favourite, where Seamus Tansey was visiting one weekend, and he recorded it on the King of the Concert Flute, was it?
Yeah, King of the Concert Flute with Charlie Lennon.
Yeah. It's he made a bit of a kind of a wild job of it, really, and it's a lively old tune. But he called it Jim Coleman's, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. After Michael Coleman's brother. But I think it was it John Blake that was saying that it has the record for how many rolls?
Continuous. I
consecutive
think
rolls.
it's about six or seven
It was
continuous
eight,
rolls. Yeah,
eight of them, yeah.
Could be even 8. Yeah, yeah. It's a record breaker, all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try it, but
Yeah.
Whoa, that's very strange. Isn't it? It is. It's a killer, isn't it?
It's
I think it's a song, isn't it? There's words to it, I think.
I think there is. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been.
Yeah, I think there is. Words
Not sure
to
what
it,
song exactly it is, but
Yeah, but you can just imagine, like Tansey was kind of, you know, it's like
Yeah.
this continuous belt of rolls. Right, I think it's over to Dr. Meehan for a fiddle solo.
ratio.
I'll let him introduce his own tunes.
Yeah, so I'm going to try a couple of reels. The first one is one that I wrote a few years back, and it's called, I named it after a friend of mine that plays the flute, Mike Walsh. So it's called Walsh's Dream, because there's some tunes that have that kind of that are named after people like Clancy's Dream and Paddy Ryan's Dream and
Sergeant Early's Dream.
Sergeant Early's Dream, yeah.
There's a lot of dreaming going on in America.
Yeah. So, but they tend to be kind of minor keyed tunes, so they have a kind of a bit of a dreamy quality to them, you could say. And then the second reel, I'm not actually sure what the second reel is, but I think I learnt it off Oliver Loughlin, great accordion player from Drumkieran in County Leitrim, who I would have grown up playing with.
Ollie and Damien used to play in Cryans on
it was
Saturday night.
Just a really great session. Michael O'Brien and Damien O'Brien and Kevin Braheny and Oliver Loughlin and the McGoverns usually in, and there'd be usually people passing by like Alan Costello and people like that. But it was just, I remember it being a really kind of a catalyst for me, like when I was kind of at that age of, when you're kind of 13 or 14, and it just kind of spurred me on to really get into the music. So
that session was one of the reasons I kind of moved back from the UK. Really, was because I experienced a couple of those Saturday nights in Cryans, and they were just.
But it's not just the music, it's just the crack as well. You'd be going home with a sore side from laughing, like so. So I'll try these two reels anyways, and hopefully they'll go to plan.
So I think we'll have another song.
All right, okay. Back to me. Well, I'm going to sing a song that I probably shouldn't be singing because I don't know it properly, because I only learnt it about 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to chance it because I suppose with the theme of what we're doing here and the story behind it, I had another song in mind, but I'm going to do this one. It's called Loch Erin Shore. Because it's a gorgeous song and it's a good bit of singing in it. I didn't think I'd be able for today, but I'm going to give it a go. Because it's got a great story to it, a beautiful love story. And it's one of these songs that I would have sung, well, I heard being sung at flas and competitions down through the years as a very, very really good traditional song for competitions. But this version is comes from Niall Hanna and his, I think, is it his grandfather, Geordie Hanna? Is it his grandfather or his dad?
His grandfather or his father, I'm not
or
sure.
His father, I'm not sure, but he would have been known as singing it. And Paddy Tunney, a really well-known
We had a
singer.
recording of Geordie Hannah at home.
Geordie
like,
Hannah, yeah.
fantastic.
So there's a great, in that part of the country, there's some fantastic singers and
There is,
songs
yeah.
that have come from
Yeah.
that area. So I'm going to try it anyway. So it's Lough Erne Shore. And when I heard Kate accompanying this, I was like, I got to do it. I'll give it a try. Because it's gorgeous melody, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Give it a try. I'm sure you can cut it out if it's really bad. One morning as I went to Fowling, bright Phoebus adorned the plains. 'Twas down by the shores of Lough Erne I met with this beautiful dame. Her voice was so sweet and so pleasing. These beautiful notes she did sing, and the innocent fowl of the forest unto their love she did bring. It being the first time I saw her, my heart it did leap with surprise, for I thought that she could be no mortal, but an angel who fell from the skies. Her hair it resembled gold tresses, and her skin was as white as the snow, and her cheeks were as red as the roses that bloom upon Lough Erne's shore. When I found my love was eloping, these words unto her I did say: won't you take me to your habitation? For Cupid has led me astray. Forever I'll keep the commandments, for they say that it is the best plan. Fair maids who do yield unto men's pleasures, the scriptures do say they are wrong. Oh, Mary, don't accuse me of weakness, for treachery I disown. I will make you a maiden of honor if with me tonight you come home. what's more, I would part with them all for to gain you and live upon Loch Erin's shore.
Time. We might try another set of reels after this because otherwise we're going to be playing kind of hornpipey barn dancey things until we finish. But I'm going to have a shot at some tunes on this little gizmo here, which I got from a lady in America a few months ago, and it's an old kind of it's a military band flute, really. I was looking for an F flute. What I actually got was an F sharp flute. And it's an old flute, so it's not perfectly in tune, but it has a nice little gimp to it, as they say. And I'm going to try a couple of hornpipes. Many moons ago, growing up in London, but of Leitrim parents, I would have heard recordings of Páirc Degnan, tapes of Páirc Degnan that my uncles would have made around Carrick and around up in Drumshanbo and that. And also there was a great flute player in London who sadly passed away there a couple of years ago called Mick Woods, and he was a big John McKenna fan as well. And also another superstar of the Irish music world, really, who I also know is a great McKenna fan, is Frankie Gavin, and he recorded these two tunes. They were recorded by McKenna back in the 1920s, I think, 30s, and they're kind of associated with McKenna's area up around Drumkieran. First one's called The Buck from the Mountain, and the second one is called Mcpartlin's Style. And I think Mcpartlin, as many of you know if you were watching the television the other night with Ant Mcpartlin, is a kind of a common, well-known name around Drumkieran. I think this fella actually might have come from the other side of Loch Allen, from around Sean Gilrain's neck of the woods, Bandadlera or that.
He was named after a dancer, I think.
He was named after a dancer, yeah. Who McKenna must have thought was a great dancer and had a great style, so he called it Mcpartlin's Style. But I'll give these a try now. We don't know how they're going to go, but we'll try them anyway and see what happens. Thank you. They're kind of dinky little tunes, really, on a dinky little flute. It's great fun to play those. We are going to continue now with a set of tunes, continuing on the theme of kind of home and away, if you like, and the music going away and coming back. These would be tunes very much associated with a London Sligo flute player who was a fundamental part of my musical background. A man called Roger Sherlock, who died about 5 or 6 years ago, I suppose. And Roger and my father worked together in London for a number of years, so that was my kind of entry path to traditional music in many ways. Also through my teacher, Brendan Mulcair, but Sherlock would have been a huge influence on my development as a flute player. And in the 1960s, he made 2 albums with the great Sean Maguire. I think he was the only flute player that recorded with Sean Maguire. And
that could record it.
And we often, Shane and myself often say the only flute player that could record with Sean Maguire. So these are a set of reels that they recorded. The first one is called Jack Rose. The second one goes by the odd name of the Gossoon who beat his father, which is, we'll say no more about for the moment because I don't know the background to it, but you wouldn't need much to work it out. And the last tune then is Jack Maguire's. It's a composition of Sean Maguire's father that Roger used to play, I'd say, almost as his standard, his go-to reel if he was ever asked to play a solo. So we'd give these a try and see how they come out.
Yol.
Thanks very much. I think we're going to wrap everything up now. I suppose thanks to everybody for turning up, and thanks to Siobhan for some beautiful singing, and Kate for some wonderful piano playing, and Shane for doing what Shane does, and thanks to the doc for asking us to do this, and to Keith and all the guys for all their hard work with the sound and the film and everything. It's brilliant work. They kept us at it. We're going to finish with a set of reels, which I think I'll let Shane introduce, because the first one is one of his own tunes. So
So the first tune is one that I composed around the same time as the other one that I played earlier on, and it's called Snowdunder, and it was named after the big snow we had there a few years back, and I was trapped inside the house with no milk or bread, and so I got a bit bored and decided to, or this tune kind of popped into my head. So so yeah, that's when I was down in Cork. So I'm living down in Cork at the moment, trying to get the reels and the jigs to be played a bit more down there, because they tend to play polkas a lot. So I'm trying to convert them into the Leitrim and North Connacht kind of style. So I'm down there at the moment, but I suppose I would have grown up around Carrick, as I was saying earlier, and so yeah, the tune is very much kind of a Leitrim tune, I suppose. You've great composers like Charlie Lennon and Joe Liddy and all those guys, and I would have been introduced to all of that music not only from playing in sessions, but my grandfather John Meehan, who passed away a few years ago, was a flute player and fiddle player from out the road in Cúishall, and so he would have been a big fan of the composers.
He was, yeah.
That we played out their tunes together. So like
I remember you as like a fairly young lad, about 14 now, coming in with your grandfather.
Yeah.
I would have met your grandfather years ago playing at festivals in Carrick and that,
Yeah.
He was a lovely flute player.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was a big fan of Paddy Fahey tunes and Paddy O'Brien, and so not just the Leitrim composers, but he kind of East Galway. He liked East Galway music.
A graph of the East Galway stuff.
So which Mick could kind of have an affinity with as well. Growing up in London, there would have been a lot of that.
Yes,
kind of
indeed. Yeah. In fact, when I met your grandfather, there was kind of a lot of commonality in the. He'd go for those.
Yeah.
Those. There wouldn't be normal session tunes.
He liked quirky tunes.
He did, yeah.
We'd be going through.
He'd be pulling them out of the bottom drawer, like
Yeah. So I think a lot of the tunes that I compose, kind of not. I don't do it in a very conscious way, but it's just they tend to kind of emulate or take inspiration from those kind of unusual tunes. And Finbar Dwyer is another case in point.
Yeah, Dwyer. I mean, I was lucky as well in London because we had although Dwyer wasn't playing when I was growing up, he kind of stopped playing for a good while. But I heard a lot of his music and a lot of his recordings, and I met him a good few times, and he was again such an influential sort of composer that. I heard a tape of him once, actually, just randomly making tunes up in a pub one afternoon just for the crack,
Yeah.
I think he was at it all the time.
Yeah. So we'll try that reel, and that's followed by The Fire and Clon Rat, which is composed by
another great fiddle player.
And great composer from Cork, actually, called Connie O'Connell. And then the last tune, bringing it back up to the North Connacht region, is a version of the Grand Spey, which has Scottish origins originally. But this version comes from Fred Finn, I think. It was transcribed in Bernard Flaherty's book, A Trip to Sligo. So that's where I learned the version from. So, so we'll
give these a shot. Yeah. Thanks very much, everybody.
Bye.